issue of lack of teachers to teach in junior secondary school does not arise, and they have also been accordingly prepared to undertake this particular assignment. Although runners joined grade 7 in the schools where they were enrolled in grade 6, there is need to distinguish the junior secondary school section. As I said, a decision has been made that parents and the boards of management agree on the new uniforms for junior secondary school runners. So we are also saying that at this particular level, because it is secondary, the uniform will not be the same, and each and every board of management will be able to make a decision as to the color and the type of uniform that students will be required to put on. And of course, as is the case, parents will have to bear the responsibility of buying uniforms for their children. Schools are expected to have a rapid admission process in place for junior secondary school runners through NEMIS. NEMIS is compulsory now that each and every school has to have it in place. An admission register must be in place with the proper induction and orientation program. The Ministry of Education is awaiting the recommendations of the Presidential Working Party on education reforms regarding the curriculum for the CPC to inform any needed changes in the content of all levels of learning. As a result, we will be issuing more guidelines on the junior secondary education level from time to time. You remember that we have issued guidelines, and we have issued preliminary kind of curriculum that will be used at the open schools, but again, the final one will be made by the Presidential Working Party, which is coming out towards the end of March. Once the report is presented to His Excellency the President the last week of March, we will be able to implement the recommendations that will be emanating therefrom. The Ministry will use the NEMIS platform for efficient and effective management and monitoring of runners in the school system. In this regard, principals will be required to file accurate daily returns on the status of reporting to schools. To mitigate against weak network coverage, the Ministry has developed an innovative offline carry report to the school. In addition, parents, guardians are encouraged to facilitate smooth admission of all runners to secondary schools by submission of the requisite documents for NEMIS registration. Affirmative action for transition and retention of needy students. The Ministry has been offering support to the needy students through a RIM scholarship. Previously, these efforts were further complemented by other scholarships from our partners from various organizations. In this regard, I wish to appreciate these scholarships and the bursary providers such as Equity Bank, Kenya Commercial Bank, Cooperative Bank of Kenya, National Government CDF. I want to thank the members of Parliament because part of the CDF funds also goes to bursaries, and the county governments who support the achievement of 100% transition. We request them to continue supporting us in this endeavor, because it is by so doing that we can be able to ensure and achieve the 100% transition. I take this opportunity to thank well-wishers who have supported at least a student in covering costs of other non-tuition related expenses such as school uniform and personal effects for the needy children. The ministry shall also strengthen the school feeding and sanitary towels provision programs to enhance retention in schools. Notable is also the Eduafia medical cover for all students registered in NEMIS in public secondary schools. The ministry has issued fees guidelines for the boarding students to which schools should adhere to. I wish to state that public secondary school fees for the 2023 academic calendar year will not be changed and will remain at Kenya shillings 53,544, while that of county and extra county schools will remain at Kenya shillings 40,555. I want to repeat this, that we are following the Kiremi Mwiria Task Force report, which did come out with the figure that the national schools should pay, and that remains the way it was since 2016 at 53,554, and for county and extra county schools, and for extra counties only those that are having boarding facilities, 40,555. On its part, the government will maintain its capitation per student for all public secondary schools at the Kenya shillings 22,244, and as I said, this is for senior secondary. For lower, that is junior secondary, the figure is 15,000. Parents whose children are enrolled in public day secondary schools should not be charged any fees because the government is catering for all their tuition costs amounting to Kenya shillings 22,244. Parents should report instance of any student turned away for not paying higher fees and other levies to the nearest education office for action. I also wish to challenge parents and guardians to take their obligation seriously by ensuring prompt payment of school fees in boarding schools, particularly those in national and extra county schools who are supposed to pay the 53,000, and those in boarding schools in county that are supposed to pay the 40,000. Given that about 70% of the secondary students are day scholars, it's a clear indication that more support should be directed in developing these schools. I therefore encourage all boarding schools to introduce day wings to enhance access and cut down the cost of education. This is also in line with CPC requirements for parental engagement in delivery of the curriculum. As you are aware, we have 72% of our schools are day schools. It's only 28% that are boarding schools. And in nomadic areas, we have those boarding schools because of the nature of life in those areas where parents keep moving from one place to another. So as a ministry and as a government, let it clear, we have not said that we are abolishing boarding schools. No, we are not abolishing. What we are saying is that, yes, with 100% transition, I think as we move forward, we also have to expand and provide better facilities for day schools because they are able to accommodate more numbers in day schools. Given that the ministry, in conjunction with other stakeholders, has developed policy guidelines to enhance the smooth management of education. It has been noted with concern that cases of non-compliance with some of these policies negatively affect transition, retention, and the quality of education. School boards of management should acquaint themselves with the existing policies and ensure implementation and compliance. Accordingly, there should be no cases of illegal exclusion, arbitrary suspension, and forced transfers of learners in public schools. I wish to bring to your attention the embassies of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya that all government business delivery mechanisms must be automated. And I think the deadline for all government agencies and all government ministries is supposed to be June of this year. In this regard, the ministry is committed to automating activities relating to service delivery by its clients. Sources of any information will therefore be migrated into NEMIS. Schools are called upon to ensure proper enlisting of students in NEMIS for capitation, KCPE, KCSE, registrations, and monitoring of students' affairs, including fees payment, disciplinary procedures, and class attendance. It will also be mandatory for schools to enlist all their board of management members and non-teaching staff in the platforms that shall be available in NEMIS. The runners joining grade 7 shall report their respective junior secondary schools on 30th January 2023. So you are aware, for the other cadre, we are opening the schools on 23rd, but for junior secondary school, they are reporting on 30th January of this month. The ministry is currently carrying out a comprehensive countrywide assessment of all public and private schools to determine their readiness to admit runners to junior secondary school. The exercise, which began on 9th January 2023, is set to end on this Friday, 20th January 2023. The assessment considers, among other factors, whether the respective school has adequate run to hold the junior secondary school level, availability of buildings to be used as classrooms and laboratories, and whether the school has adequate water and power supply. As of Friday, 13th January 2023, a total of 14,589 public and private schools had been assessed. Of this, 13,221 schools had been approved to host the junior secondary schools. I direct our multi-sectoral teams to work around the clock to ensure they complete the assessment exercise by the 20th January 2023 deadline. As you can also confirm from these figures, that out of the 14,000 public schools that have been so far assessed, over 13,000 qualify, meaning they meet the minimum criteria that we set, and the schools that are not going to qualify are actually very, very few, and even those that don't qualify, we find either the enrollment of the students is below the required number. You get probably they are 10, they are 15, and it therefore makes a lot of meaning that we transfer them to the neighboring school where there will be enough facilities, teachers, and the rest. And in this, we are also ensuring that the laboratories are in place, and for the time being, as we are in the process of doing them, the neighboring secondary schools where they are available, they will also be used while we are in the process of ensuring that each and every school has the required facilities. I now come to Form 1 selection. Form 1 selection and placement exercise was undertaken to ensure smooth transition from primary to secondary schooling for the 2022 KCPE examination candidates. This process has been carried out in a way that ensured fairness in the placement of KCPE examination candidates of 2022. The placement was based on choice, merit, and availability of places. The 2022 KCPE examination candidates constitute the sixth and second last cohort of runners under the 844 system to be admitted to secondary schools under the government policy of 100% transition. The ministry is committed to ensure that parents, guardians with runners joining Form 1 are not overburdened with unnecessary requirements. Principals should exercise caution while listing the requirements so that the cost of education is reduced as much as possible. And this one, we are insisting that we don't expect so many other requirements, because the policy of government is to make education accessible. So apart from uniform and the amount that has been set by the government, we don't expect anything more. Principals should ensure that no student is sent away from school over illegal levies, and we are going to be very categorical, very strict on this. Let me now focus on the placement of 2022 KCPE candidates. The ministry has placed all eligible candidates appropriately in secondary schools in keeping with the 100% transition policy. This selection process was strictly guided by the principles of merit, choice, equity, and availability of space in placing candidates. This was conducted as follows. For county schools, I'm now going to give you a breakdown on the admission to the various categories of schools that we have in the country. To county schools, we have admitted female a total number of 107,461 to join those schools. Male, we have admitted 91,566, making a total of 199,027. Extra county schools, which of course, as I said, a number of them are day schools, we have admitted a total number of 111,105 female and 117,055 male, making a total of 228,160. To national schools, we have a total of 106 national schools, as you are aware, in the entire country, and the female, we have been able to admit 18,794. Male, we have admitted 20,178, making a total of 38,972. Special needs, we have admitted female 871, male 948, total 1,819. Sub-county schools, we have admitted the majority, this is accurate where the day schools are, 372,459. And those are female. Male, we have admitted 387,000. The total number of students admitted in all the 5 categories of our schools comes to 1,230,588, meaning that each and every one of them who did their KCPE as a press in our secondary schools this year. In the placement, all countries who scored 100 marks and above are placed in national or extra county schools of their choice. The special needs education candidates were also placed in the regular schools of their preference, while others were placed in special schools based on their disability categories on merit and choice. The ministry has applied affirmative action to achieve equity from the slum areas. In this year's selection, 270 students from slum areas were placed in national and extra county schools of their choice. This is in addition to those placed through merit and other criteria. This intervention is in line with the government policy to achieve parity in education by considering the needy and the vulnerable children in informal settlements in urban areas. For the first time, the ministry placed 9,019 runners from primary schools located in the refugee camps in the public schools. This is in line with the 2017 Djibouti Declaration on Regional Refugee Education that stipulates the need to enhance capacity of IGAD member states to implement commitments to quality education and learning for refugees and host communities. The following counties had inadequate capacities according to their candidature as indicated in the table. Nairobi County, number of schools that we have secondary are 109 secondary schools. The capacity to accommodate in those schools is 27,145. The number of candidates we had in the KCB was 22,232, meaning that we have a deficit of 45,089. Kirivi County, we have a total of 164 secondary schools with a capacity of 31,258. KCB candidates we had was 41,470, meaning we have a deficit of 10,212. Mombasa, we have a total number of 56 schools, and the capacity is 12,801, with a total number of candidates being 22,360, meaning we have a deficit of 9,559. Kajiado County, we have 95 secondary schools with a capacity of 20,640. The number of KCB candidates were 25,605, and the deficit is 4,965. Turkana County, we have 63 secondary schools with a capacity of 12,096, and the candidates we had was 16,796 with a deficit of 4,700. $633, and the number of candidates KCB was 24,442 with a deficit of 1,809. Taita Taveta, we have 54 secondary schools with a capacity of 6,768. The total number we had of candidates was 8,477. We have a deficit of 1,709. Kitui County, we have 449 schools with a capacity of 41,184. The candidates we had was 42,262. We have a deficit of 1,078. Narok County, we have 171 schools. The capacity is 33,360. We have a number of candidates being 34,362. So we have a deficit of 902. Tana River, we have 38 secondary schools with a capacity of 5,232. We had a total of 6,035 candidates, so we have a deficit of 88. We have 176 schools with a capacity of 18,144. The number of candidates we had was 18,757. We have a deficit of 613. West Pokot, we have 185 secondary schools with a capacity of 16,178, and the number of candidates we had was 16,687. We have a deficit of 509. Ram County, we have 27 secondary schools with a capacity of 3,264, and the number of candidates was 3,760. We have a deficit of 496. To mitigate the shortfall in these 14 counties, candidates were placed in other counties with sufficient capacities. And mostly the neighboring counties, we have enough schools with infrastructure, meaning that even those counties that don't have adequate schools with adequate facilities, we have been able to cater for those students who were not able to get admission within their own counties. The above scenario can be considered an eye-opener to an underlying problem that calls for serious early redress in the wake of CBC. It is against this background that I will take a personal initiative to consult with the leadership from these areas to address this perennial deficit in capacity. I will engage with members of parliament and the county governors so that they know of this problem. They can be able to allocate resources from CDF so that we are able to have enough capacities as we move forward, so that they can be able to accommodate more students. During the selection process, it became clear that a large number of candidates did not receive proper guidance and direction when choosing schools. This resulted in some schools attracting far many applicants against their capacities. These schools include Kabianga High School, which has a capacity of 768, attracted 153,078. There you can see we have only 768, and this time we have said no one will be able to go beyond the capacity as given by the ministry. This was the total number of applicants. Nanyuka High School had applicants 148,827. They can only accommodate 576. Nyandarua High School, the total number of applicants were 137,511, and they can only accommodate 240. Pangani Girls had 119,265 applicants, and they can only be able to accommodate 384. Maseno High School had 105,504, and they can only be able to accommodate 720. Alliance Girls High School had 104,765, and they can only be able to accommodate 384. Nakuru High School had a total of 103,909, and they can be able to accommodate 336. Kapsabet Boys had a total of 99,542, and they can only be able to accommodate 384. Mangu High School, they have a capacity of 480, and the number of applicants was 98,146. Butere Girls High School, the total number of applicants was 95,550, and they can only be able to accommodate 768. I've taken the 10 top to indicate that their school almost we get so many applicants, and yet the vacancies, the capacity for that school is so few. The result of the above means many candidates will not get their choices, and have to accept that it is not possible to be placed in your dream school. I wish to call upon head teachers and parents to ensure that candidates make wise choices through proper advice. In addition, it was noted that 33,984 students from 2,673 schools did not select any school. So we have those who did the exam, and actually some of them did very well, but we found out that they never made any selection. To this end, I direct the county directors of education to establish the concerned schools with a few of instituting administrative actions against the head teachers and schools management for failing to adequately register runners for examinations. However, even those that did not apply, indicate any school of their choice, we have also been able to place them in various schools. We did not leave them out because, of course, they failed to make a choice. We have also catered for that. The reporting period for all 2023 Form 1 students will be from 6th February 2023 to 13th February 2023. In the case of any queries, parents are advised to visit their respective county directors of education for assistance. I'm directing that all admitted students will be captured on NEMIS by 2nd March 2023. All the CDs are required to ensure compliance with this requirement, because on the basis of them being captured in the NEMIS, that as a ministry, as a government, we will be able to give out capitation. As I conclude my remarks, I wish to announce that this year's Form 1 selection was fully computerized from national to sub-county levels. Candidates, parents, or guardians can now access joining instructions that are available online for all categories of schools through the ministry's website, www.education.go.ke. Let me repeat again, the ministry's website is www.education.go.ke. For any queries, you are asked to check on frequently asked questions under Form 1 selection. Assistance may be obtained by writing an email to placement@education.go.ke. Any inquiries, one can be able to send an email, and we will be able to respond to placement@education.go.ke. The results can also be checked by texting the candidate's index number to 22263. Let me repeat again. Parents can also be able to get the schools that their children have been taken to by indicating the candidate's index number to 22263. From right now, as we conclude this, one would be able to know which particular school he or she has been admitted to. Schools will access and download their selection list by logging into the NEMIS platform. So each and every school, may it be a national, may it be extra county, may it be county or sub-county, will also be able to get the list of those who have been admitted into their respective schools by getting into the NEMIS platform. Parents are asked to take their runners to the schools they have been placed in. Those who may not be satisfied may approach desired schools for assistance. I now wish, ladies and gentlemen, to declare the 2023 Form 1 selection placement and admission results for the 2022 KCPE examination candidates officially released. Thank you and welcome. Thank you very much, members of the press. We thank you for coming over, and I think that is it. We will be able to give you copies of this, and I said we are making an arrangement in a month's time or so, where we'll be engaging you from time to time, because we require to communicate what is happening so that Kenyans can be able to understand, particularly on the junior secondary, that indeed all is well. We require to communicate for Kenyans to understand that CPC is the best way to go, of course, with the necessary amendments that have been done going forward. In case there is a question or two, I am with my colleagues here. You can ask one question or two. Appears to come, Rosa, and my Rosa, and who is next? And the BD, come Rosa. Yeah. Yes.
The secondary side of the education sector has done a lot of construction work to enable junior secondary to be placed into that sector. Now we are going into the primary school sector. We have that challenge of, in terms of capacitation, vis-a-vis the number of what are parents expected to do in case the number of primary schools do not have the capacity to host the large number of candidates who are transitioning into grade 7. And then there's another question by parents. Some of the books that they should be writing inside them, and it's a concern for many of them that they cannot have them used as the way your children can have another use the same kind of books. How does the ministry address some of those quarters? And the issue of big, how soon do you expect the grade 7 class to do very many uniforms?
I think we'll take two and then noting the questions. Yes.
My name is Shaka.